He added some Italian civilians decided to stay in Niger and that the Italian embassy there will remain open. The military coup has raised fears for the security of the Sahel region. Defense chiefs from West Africa's regional bloc ECOWAS are slated to meet in Nigeria on Wednesday to discuss the latest situation. But Niger's neighbors, Mali and Burkina Faso, which also experienced coups, earlier warned against any outside intervention to restore the ousted government, saying it would be seen as a declaration of war. Niger's army spokesman announced on Tuesday night the country had reopened its border with a number of countries, including Mali and Burkina Faso. Colonel Major Amadou Adramen said the land and air borders with Algeria, Burkina Faso, Mali, Libya and Chad are reopened from today, August 2nd, 2023. Regional bloc ECOWAS has imposed sanctions, including a halt in all financial transactions and a national assets freeze, and said it could authorize force to reinstate Bazoum, who is still locked in his palace. But the juntas of neighboring Burkina Faso and Mali voiced their support for the coup's leaders on Monday. Major cities in Niger are facing rolling blackouts following last week's coup in the West African country. Niger's electricity company, Nigelec, says the power shortages are as a result of Nigeria cutting supplies to its northern neighbor. The West African trading bloc ECOWAS has imposed sanctions on Niger over the coup, but has not said if these include electricity supplies. Residents living in the cities of Niamey, Maradi and Zinder have power for about an hour at a time before it is switched off for up to 5 hours. Power cuts like these are unusual in Niger, which normally has regular and reliable supplies. But the country is heavily dependent on its wealthier neighbor to the south, Nigeria, as its main supplier of electricity. The transmission company of Nigeria has declined to comment on the power cuts in Niger, but an anonymous source told the BBC the supply to Niger was cut on Tuesday following a presidential directive. Still on Niger, staying with the military takeover, Niger Republic military chiefs from ECOWAS member states not run by juntas have met in Abuja and say they are set to follow through on directives from the sub-region's leaders to deploy troops. At an extraordinary meeting of the military chiefs from Benin, Togo, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire, as well as those of Cape Verde, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, the Gambia, joined Nigeria's Defense Chief General Chris Musa at the meeting.
The political instability in Niger is a source of grave concern for us all. It threatens our shared vision of a peaceful, secure and prosperous West Africa, a vision that is impossible to achieve amidst political upheavals and disruptions to constitutional order. Therefore, it is incumbent upon us to deliberate on this issue and chart a course towards resolution, in accordance with the principles of democracy, rule of law, and respect for human rights. Our meeting today is not just about the restoration of democracy in one country, but about the preservation of the principles we all hold dear across the region. We are tasked today with a mission that requires us to rise above our individual interests and think as one community. We must remember, we are not just chiefs of defense staff, we are custodians of peace and stability in our region.
The ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Abdel Fattah Musa, also addressed the meeting.
This is a clarion call to you. This is a test of the will of our militaries to demonstrate that we are having a democratically minded military whose regalia responsibility is the protection of the state. So the diplomacy is being given a chance to succeed. Like we said, the military option is the very last on the table. And if we can avoid bloodshed, if we can avoid a peaceful restoration of constitutional order in the country, so be it. That is our preferred option. But we have to prepare for all eventualities. And Excellencies, you are here for the final eventuality.
The juntas currently running Guinea, Mali and Burkina Faso on Monday pledged to defend the coupists in Niger in the event of an invasion by ECOWAS troops, as agreed by the sub-region's leaders after an emergency meeting on Sunday, if a 7-day ultimatum is not heeded to hand over power back to President Bazoum. The United Kingdom says it supports the decision of ECOWAS for the immediate restoration in Niger Republic. UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly told State House correspondents after a visit to President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa Abuja on Wednesday that the UK supports the move to restore peace and democracy in the West African country.
Of course, we touched briefly on the situation in Niger. I made the point that the UK very much welcomes ECOWAS's and his indeed decisive action, his strong commitment to democracy and the unambiguous message that violence is not the means to bring political change in any circumstance, and that the commitment to democracy in Nigeria and in the region is unwavering. This very much supports the UK's position. We wish to see peace and democracy restored in Niger, and we will of course continue to liaise with our strong friends in the region, membership of ECOWAS of course including Nigeria, as we seek to bring about stability, peace and democracy to Niger.
Cleverly, who is on a 4-day African visit, will spend 2 days in Nigeria, where he is prioritizing future-focused, mutually beneficial partnership. Donald Trump was indicted on Tuesday for his wide-ranging attempts to overturn the 2022 election, the third time in 4 months that the former U.S. president has been criminally charged, even as he campaigns to regain the presidency next year. The 4-count, 45-page indictment charges Trump, the Republican 2020 incumbent, with conspiring to defraud the U.S. by preventing Congress from certifying Democrat Joe Biden's victory and to deprive voters of their right to a fair election.
Court prosecutors said that then-President Trump pushed fraud claims he knew to be untrue, pressured state and federal officials, including Vice President Mike Pence, to alter the results, and finally incited a violent assault on the U.S. Capitol in a desperate attempt to undermine American democracy and cling to power. Trump was ordered to make an initial appearance in federal court in Washington on Thursday, while the case has been assigned to U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan, who was appointed by Trump's predecessor, Barack Obama. The charges stem from special counsel Jack Smith's sprawling investigation into allegations that Trump sought to reverse his loss to Biden. Despite a growing array of legal troubles, Trump has solidified his status as a frontrunner for the Republican presidential nomination, according to public opinion polls. The indictment also includes 6 unnamed co-conspirators who have not yet been charged. However, based on the descriptions, they appear to include Trump's former personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark, and attorney John Eastman.
Morocco says it remains committed to reopening political and economic ties with Nigeria. The Moroccan ambassador to Nigeria, Moha Tagma, said this at an event in Abuja to mark the 24th anniversary of King Mohammed VI's ascension to the throne. The ambassador referenced the Moroccan monarch's visit to Nigeria in December 2016 and that of former President Muhammadu Buhari to Rabat a year, as well as the strategic gas pipeline project running from Nigeria to Morocco as examples of mutual cooperation.
Morocco is pursuing its efforts within the framework of South-South cooperation, making its contribution to the prosperity of Africa. In this context, Morocco and Nigeria have a strong historical relationship built on centuries-old human and cultural ties.
Senator Ned Nwoko, who is married to a Moroccan, and the chairman of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission, Victor Mourouako, were some of those who attended the event.
And I am hoping that Morocco will invest more in Nigeria. It will not be the other way around, you know, because Morocco is really has come of age. In terms of industry and outsourcing, there are many companies in Europe and America that have their factories in Morocco, producing, manufacturing in Morocco, because they have very skilled and disciplined workforce.
Galvanizing the cities and their local government to ensure that the economic agenda of AU as it concerns cities and municipalities. And Morocco is doing very well in that, because I happen to have been a Deputy Secretary General of United Cities and Local Government of Africa at a time. Today, Morocco is doing very well in ensuring that their cities and municipalities is a focal point of development.
Organized labor says the ongoing protest is against increase in petrol pump prices to 520 naira. Labor says federal government should come out clean whether money has been saved from non-payment of subsidy or not. The NLC President Joe Ajaero also said all meetings with government have not met any positive progress, as they say government did not understand the plight of the Nigerian masses. Labour also said the non-mention of fixing local refineries by President Tinubu is insensitive and calculated attempts to continue importing refined oil. A coalition of 17 civil society organizations have called on the federal government to roll out comprehensive social protection programs that will capture the poor and vulnerable in line with global good practices to help Nigerians ease the pressure of the current economic challenges. The CSO made the call in Abuja while proffering a comprehensive social intervention on petrol subsidy removal and palliatives.
I also noting that the national minimum wage of 30,000 remain highly unsustainable considering the current economic condition. And so we are recommending that the process for increasing the minimum wage should commence immediately at the federal, state, and local government levels, and by private sector's employers, as the current minimum wage no longer reflects the new realities.
The organizations expressed deep concerns over government's initiatives to urgently cushion the harsh economic and social effect of the subsidy removal policy on the citizens.
That you're giving a household 8,000 naira does not mean you cannot make provision for transportation, you cannot make provision to support agriculture, you cannot make provision for other things. The transparency of that amount, who is going to get that amount? The amount should not be used to settle the boys and girls in politics, but used to settle the real poor. That's why we are saying that the social register should be updated. We want to be sure that it's the poor people whose names are there that will get that money.
And we think that coming here as organizations who work with vulnerable people who would not be represented on the negotiation table, think that we must speak out on how must we include people who are excluded on the negotiation table to be part of the process of being protected in the current dispensations in the country.
The group, while lamenting the current national minimum wage of 30,000 naira, says it is highly unsustainable considering the current economic condition. The recommended process for increasing the minimum wage should commence immediately at the federal, state and local levels and by private sector employers. President Bola Tinubu has been asked to use his position as leader of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC to ensure that Nigerians are not made to suffer due to the internal wranglings in the party that led to the resignation of its former chairman Abdullahi Adamu. The All Progressives Congress Youth and Women mandate, which made the appeal during a news conference in Kaduna over the weekend, explained that only someone with a deep wealth of experience will help lead the ruling party to usher in an era of socio-economic development for Nigerians. The group added that since President Tinubu cannot single-handedly solve all the problems in the country and the APC, he therefore requires someone with good leadership qualities and patriotism to help him pilot the affairs of Nigeria and the APC a sense of direction. They also appealed to the leadership of the APC at all levels to always remember that what Nigerians need to know is good governance that endangers good life and national development. The Federal High Court in Lagos has granted the suspended Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele leave to serve Director General, Department of State Services DSS Yusuf Bichi, the order of court admitting him to bail and directing his remand in the custody of Nigerian Correctional Service by substituted means. Justice Nicholas Owebo granted the order following an ex parte application moved by Emefiele's counsel, Ogonaye Shonuga. The court had on July 25, 2023, granted Emefiele 20 million naira bail and ordered that he should be remanded at the Correctional Service after he was arraigned on charges of illegal possession of firearms and ammunition. Emefiele is standing trial on a 2-count charge bordering on possession of a single-barrel shotgun and possession of 123 rounds of live ammunition without license. Although Emefiele pleaded not guilty to the charge, the secret police disobeyed court order and rearrested Emefiele after the proceedings. In an ex parte application, Emefiele asked the court to serve the complainant through and on the office and person of the Director General, Department of State Services, Yusuf Magaji Bichi, with the ruling order of court obtained on July 25, 2023. You're watching the World News on AIT. Up next is Sports Track.
Thanks for staying with us. Badminton aficionado and executive chairman of FCT Universal Basic Education Board, Professor Abdullahi Mohammed, has singled out lack of media visibility and sponsorships for the poor growth and development of badminton in Nigeria. The elite player, who was recognized and awarded by the Association of Badminton Clubs in Nigeria, have seen for his support for the game at the grassroots, says there is the need for partnership between the media and key players to further promote the shuttle sports.
The major challenge is sponsorship. That's what badminton lack other than any other sport. Many other sports are sponsored through advertorials. There are a lot of media coverage that is given to other sports. I tell you, even if you go to a Chinese channel today,
National Chairman of APSIN, Muhammad Bello, is the professor for his deep knowledge of the sport and his continuous organizing of badminton tournaments in Nigeria.
There is what we call catch them young. We are surprised when we came there for the competition. We saw little kids as low as 12 years, 10 years, 8 years playing the game. All this were done because of their effort and love of the game. After playing that, there are under 15 that also played. So that was what gingered us and gave us courage and happiness to see that we have to do this particular event.
Nigeria over the years has continued to produce some of the best players of badminton around the globe, and analysts say the future of the game is bright. The royal father Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, has thrown his weight behind the second edition of the Nigeria Soccer Star Show, which is set to restart in August. The Oni says the reality football TV show is one of the veritable tools of taking the underprivileged talented soccer players from the various parts of Nigeria off the street.
This reality TV show will showcase the young professionals to be in the future, that will be very impactful in the society. Young potentials that can make the country proud. These are ways and avenues to pick people off the street, especially the youth of this country.
Talented players from the first of its kind football reality TV show will be afforded the opportunity to apply their careers in Europe and other top-tier leagues of the world. Bayern Munich and Senegalese forward Sadio Mane has joined Saudi Pro League club Al Nassr after one season with Bundesliga champions. Financial details were not disclosed, but media report says the Saudis paid 40 million euros for the 31-year-old who had 2 more years left on his Bayern contract. Mane joins Al Nassr, who have continued to strengthen their squad since the marquee signing of Cristiano Ronaldo last term. Sweden beat Argentina to make it 3 wins from 3 at the Women's World Cup, clinching top spot in Group G and a mouth-watering last 16 clash with the United States. With first place essentially guaranteed thanks to a vastly superior goal difference, Sweden made 9 changes in our meeting and lacked the cohesion of their first 2 games, but still had too much for their opponents. After a fiercely contested hour, Sweden's extra quality shone through, with Rebecca Blomqvist finding space in the box to power home Sofia Jakobsen's cross from close range. Argentina departed the tournament, having finished bottom of the group with 1 point. South Africa are into the last 16 after claiming their first Women's World Cup win with a thrilling 3-2 victory over Italy in Wellington. Thembi Kgatlana's stoppage time winner came after Italy fought back to level with Ariana Caruso's header. And that's sports on the World News. Thanks for staying with us.
That's the world news on AIT. We'll now take you back to the National Assembly where the ministerial screening exercise is taking place. Thanks for staying with us.
Okay, that is my question. I'm not saying that he contributed to it, but I feel that that project is a worthwhile project which was initiated by the wife of our late President Yahya Adua, a very good innovation, and we know the havoc that I said that cancer has wreaked on so many families in this country. Why has that project been abandoned?
Other words. Please read.